At 32 years old, I have been happily married to my wife, who is 27, for nearly 6 years. We've been together for a total of 8 years and 3 months, and we have been living together for 7 of those years. In my view, our relationship has always been strong. I really believed we were the perfect couple. We both own our cars, have good jobs, and enjoy stable finances. 5 years ago, we made the significant decision to buy a house together, which added to our sense of stability and partnership. However, everything changed in February 2022 when I unexpectedly lost my mother to a heart attack. This tragic event deeply affected me, and it also took a toll on my wife, who was very close to my mother as well. The following months were incredibly difficult for both of us. Our once active social life diminished drastically. Over the next 6 months, we only managed to go out together a couple of times. Instead, we often found ourselves relaxing on the couch, watching television. It was a tough period, and although I wasn't feeling particularly happy, I held on to the hope that we would eventually overcome the heartache together. That brings us to a significant turning point 5 weeks ago. My wife went out for drinks with 3 male friends from work, just a short distance from our home. I thought it was fine for her to enjoy some time out with friends and decided to go to bed early. However, when she returned home in the middle of the night at 5:30 a.m., my suspicions were raised. Although I had never mistrusted her before, her late return set off alarms in my mind. The following Sunday, she told me she was going to a carnival with her mother. This time, I felt uneasy about her plans, especially since she left without even saying goodbye while I was in the shower. When she came home that day, I found her in tears. My immediate instinct was to comfort her and ask what had happened that made her so upset. But before I could say much, she uttered the shocking words, "I want a divorce." We talked about it, both of us filled with emotion. In that moment, I asked her directly if she had been unfaithful, but she denied it. She mentioned that she had been unhappy for a while, which came as a complete shock to me since she had never communicated any issues in our relationship. After that initial conversation, she moved out to live with her mother. For days passed before I saw her again, and that was only because we had a dog together that neither of us could manage alone. During that visit, I confronted her again about the possibility of infidelity, and this time she confessed. She admitted to cheating on me during the week after her night out, saying that she thinks she is in love with this other man. When I asked her what he had that I didn't, she mentioned they had a good connection and a spark, yet that felt very vague to me. She also described feeling as if she was experiencing a midlife crisis, confused about what she wanted in life. To clarify, she seems to have changed dramatically. In what felt like no time, she dyed her hair purple and even signed up for motorcycle lessons. In the first week or two following our split, I tried to reconcile our differences, but after several attempts to reach out, she started ignoring my more serious messages. The casual messages that she did respond to were short and carried a tone that felt dismissive and arrogant. I hardly recognize my wife anymore. Her entire demeanor has shifted in what seems like just a week. She now treats me as if I am a stranger, almost like I am worthless in her life. I wonder if this behavior is a defense mechanism, a way to cope with her feelings and problems, or if she truly has changed as a person. It's perplexing to consider how someone could turn so quickly. I am left questioning what will happen when the initial excitement of her new relationship fades. When reality sets in, will she realize the impact of her choices? Throughout this experience, I've been grappling with a whirlwind of feelings. I feel a mix of resentment towards her for the betrayal and sadness for the loss of the marriage that I thought was built to last. The range of emotions is overwhelming, leaving me lost in how to move forward from here. I discovered that my spouse cheated on me, leaving me feeling incredibly disappointed. It was a painful revelation, especially because I had always believed that the foundation of our marriage was strong. From the day we exchanged vows, I thought we had something special, something that would last. Now, 5 weeks have passed since that moment of betrayal, and despite the turmoil, she has not yet officially filed for divorce, nor have I. There is a nagging feeling inside me, leading me to think she might still be involved with the person she cheated on me with. At this very moment, I feel conflicted. Part of me wants to save our marriage and try to rebuild what we had, while another part wonders if it's better to just end it all. To be honest, I'm at a point where I'm not even sure if I care whether we get back together or if we go through with a divorce. It feels like I am stuck in limbo, still officially married, yet she has already moved on from our relationship. The first 4 days after she left were particularly agonizing. I struggled with uncertainty, not knowing if she had really cheated on me or if something else was wrong. Those days were filled with guilt, and I kept thinking about how I might have messed things up. However, once she confessed to the cheating, those feelings of guilt began to fade. While I acknowledge that I may have some responsibility in our problems, I believe that the end of our marriage is primarily her fault. She never expressed any dissatisfaction or unhappiness during our time together. She seemed genuinely happy, almost as if she could have been acting. There was never a conversation about what needed to change, and then to betray my trust by cheating was the ultimate blow. Now, I truly feel there is no way back from this situation. At this point, I don't even miss her all that much. Sure, I might miss the memories of who we once were as a couple, but the person she has become leaves little for me to hold on to. I almost feel pity for the next person she might hurt. I have also been coping with the loss of my mother, which has been challenging, but I am managing. I have various concerns to deal with, yet I was finally starting to come out of a dark phase. I wanted to enjoy life again, to go out, have drinks, ride my motorcycle, and just have fun. Then her cheating pushed me back into a dark place. The upcoming holidays are daunting. I won't have my mom or my wife with me, and my dad is left alone after 40 years of marriage. Yet I know we'll handle it, life goes on. Thankfully, I do have a supportive sister and a close-knit group of friends who have been part of my life for over 20 years. I am not ready to jump back into dating or anything like that, but there is a small part of me that feels a bit excited about the idea. It has been over 8 years since I dated anyone or went out without considering my partner's feelings. Looking back, some friends pointed out that we married too young. I was 26, and she was just 21. I feel like I have not changed much since then, but I suspect she has undergone significant changes. She has even mentioned feeling like she is experiencing a midlife crisis, a statement that I did not put in her mouth but is true. As for our mutual interests and hobbies, I had only touched on the fact that we led a stable life. We both enjoyed gaming, though we played separately. Currently, I find myself engrossed in Age of Empires 4 on my PC, while she was into The Witcher on her PlayStation 4. We used to enjoy watching good shows on Netflix together, especially since my mom passed away. We often preferred cozy movie nights at home over going out to bars. Occasionally, we might go to the cinema or have dinner out a couple of times each month. Both of us shared a love for motorcycles. I have my license and my own bike, while she always enjoyed being a passenger. When she was younger, her dad would take her on rides. Recently, I learned that she wants to get her own motorcycle license and bike, a desire I was unaware of before. We both valued family time and often spent weekends together with our families, cherishing those moments. Every other Sunday, it became a cherished tradition for us to spend time together at one of our parents' homes. Sometimes we would gather at her mom's house with her stepdad, or at her dad's house with his wife. Other times, we would find ourselves at my father's place. Regardless of the location, we enjoyed exploring nature together. We loved to drive out to beautiful parks or dense forests, and we always took our dog along for our adventures. Walking through the trees and enjoying the fresh air became a favorite pastime. One of the aspects I appreciated most about her personality was her impulsiveness. While some might say she was too quick to make decisions, I admired her ability to act on a whim. In contrast, I often found myself overthinking even the simplest choices. For instance, I would carefully consider whether we should buy something, weighing our finances and whether we really liked it. She, on the other hand, would make purchases in an instant or book a vacation without hesitation. It was this balance of our opposing traits that intrigued me. She often made me laugh with her unique sense of humor. We shared a special bond over our similar dry and corny jokes, which always brought joy to our time together. Her honesty and straightforwardness were qualities I valued immensely. She had a way of expressing her feelings openly, making it easy for me to understand what she liked and what bothered her. I remember a significant moment from about 4 years ago when I became deeply engrossed in a video game. At the time, I didn't realize how much it was affecting our relationship. After a few weeks, she gently told me that my gaming was making her unhappy. She urged me to pay more attention to her, and I took her words to heart, reducing my gaming significantly to focus on us instead. I loved everything about her, how she walked, how she talked, and even the lovely way she laughed. I admired her appearance, especially her wonderful hair. One of my favorite quirks was how she would sneeze multiple times in a row, usually between 8 to 10 sneezes, which always made me smile. Sadly, as of now, those feelings I once cherished are starting to fade. When it comes to our intimate life, it has been quite limited since we got married. On average, we engaged in intimacy about 2 times a month. I believed it was good, but I now wonder what her thoughts were on it. We both seemed to climax, but I sometimes question if she ever faked it. Regardless, our encounters tended to follow the same few positions, which might have made them feel repetitive. Recently, I made some calls regarding our situation. In the Netherlands, there is a service called a mediator who manages all aspects of divorce. This mediator acts as a neutral party, handling everything from legal matters to emotional conversations. It was essential for both of us to attend the meetings for the process to proceed smoothly. Yesterday, I had to pick her up since her car broke down, which was critical for us to move forward with the divorce. The discussion with the mediator went better than I expected. We both openly expressed our feelings about wanting to end our marriage, but we avoided mentioning the infidelity. This mediator remained neutral and didn't take sides, which I felt was beneficial. In our country, cheating does not affect legal rights in divorce, so I chose not to bring it up. After the mediator left, we sat together at the table in silence, with our cats providing some distraction as they played around. I eventually asked her if she had anything else to say. Her one-word response was no. I told her it was best for her to leave, as I wasn't in the mood for conversation. When I declined to drive her home, it was clear she was surprised and a bit hurt, as I had always been the one to do things for her in the past. She called her mother, who agreed to pick her up in about an hour. Before leaving, she mentioned taking a walk to pass the time until her mom arrived. As she walked out, it was evident that she was still feeling emotional. Even though I am trying to stay strong during this challenging time, I can't help but notice odd behavior from her. It seems she is still caught up in the confusion of her affair. Despite everything that has happened, I still have affection for her and the person she used to be. For now, I am focusing on my own strength and moving forward. I am currently treating her as if she holds no significance in my life, and truthfully, at this moment, she does not. She is no longer the woman I loved and remained loyal to for so long. This brings me to an important question that requires a bit of background information to fully understand. For the past 11 years, I worked as a driver for a transportation company, which I will refer to as Supertrans. 4 months ago, I decided to leave that job and embark on a new opportunity at a different transport company. I had been employed at Supertrans for about 1.5 years when I first met my soon-to-be ex-wife, who works in the office there. During my time at Supertrans, I also became acquainted with her affair partner, who works in the warehouse because of my long tenure at the company. I was well known among the staff at Supertrans, and many of my former co-workers regarded me positively. In fact, I shared a strong friendship with several dispatch employees. Although my previous co-workers and her present co-workers are aware that we are getting divorced, they likely remain unaware of her infidelity with the co-worker from the warehouse. One of her direct co-workers, whom I will call Thomas, is a 32-year-old gay man who was also present during the night my wife cheated on me. Although he left the outing early, Thomas has always been one of my favorite people at the office, and I know he has a high regard for me. My soon-to-be ex-wife is currently on vacation and will be returning to work next Monday. Given the goodwill I believe Thomas has toward me, I am strongly considering sending him a message explaining the situation and revealing her affair. My intention is to make him aware of her lack of morals, as he will have to work alongside her every day. It is important for Thomas to understand what kind of person my soon-to-be ex-wife really is. I also plan to inform him about her affair partner, as Thomas was also part of the group that went out the night of the betrayal. I feel it's necessary for him to know about the character of her affair partner, who has shown a clear disregard for moral standards. I realize that this may come off as a desire for revenge, and I suppose that is partly true. The situation has caused me significant distress and turmoil. Recently, I would find satisfaction in knowing that my soon-to-be ex-wife might experience a difficult day at work when her co-workers learn about her betrayal. Having been well-liked and respected among her colleagues for over a decade, I believe I have the right to decide who deserves to know about her infidelity. Essentially, this isn't merely a question of whether I should inform Thomas. I think I've already made up my mind on that front, but I still want to gauge what others might think about the situation and hear their reasons for or against my plan. I have received incredible support throughout this challenging time, and I must admit that I often feel mentally exhausted. Despite this, I am coping better than I anticipated after just 6 weeks. I do have a question regarding my wife's behavior, which has left me perplexed. Is it typical for someone in her position to treat nearly everyone around them poorly, except for her affair partner and her own parents? She has shown me nothing but disrespect, treating me as if I were the worst husband imaginable. She claims to have been unhappy for several years, which I find completely hard to believe. To be honest, I'm becoming indifferent to her actions. It's her life that she is ruining, not mine. However, the consequences of her behavior are affecting others as well. For instance, my father sent her a heartfelt message, perhaps the kindest words he has ever expressed, and she didn't even have the decency to reply with a simple thank you. My father, who lost my mother last February, used to take her to a nearby amusement park regularly, as they both held subscriptions. They enjoyed those outings together, and my dad cherished their time. Witnessing him age and become more distressed because of her behavior pains me greatly. It is particularly disheartening that she has not sent him any acknowledgement, leaving his message unanswered. She even expressed a desire to maintain a strong friendship with my younger sister, but they have not communicated for several weeks now. Additionally, she had planned to spend time today with her best friend, who is also a mutual friend of ours, but it seems that those plans have fallen through. A mutual friend of ours is in a difficult situation right now. She is feeling completely ignored by my wife, who has not been responding to her messages or calls. Just yesterday, this friend reached out several times to see if my wife was still available to meet. Despite sending multiple texts to confirm their plans, my wife did not bother to reply at all, nor did she even open the messages. When our friend tried to call, my wife did not answer. The same pattern continued today when they were supposed to meet up. Once again, my wife ignored her calls, leaving our friend feeling confused and hurt. In another attempt to check in, my friend sent one last message asking if my wife was still coming to meet her. Once more, there was no response. It's been especially painful for her to see that my wife's WhatsApp status shows she's been online, yet she still chose not to engage with her best friend's messages. As a result, my friend has been crying all day long. She had taken the time off work with the intention of spending quality time with my wife, hoping to enjoy a fun day of shopping and laughter. Instead, she is left heartbroken and alone on her couch, feeling abandoned. This situation raises questions about what is considered normal behavior, particularly for someone who might be experiencing feelings of guilt or emotional turmoil. While I am personally indifferent about my wife's actions now that our marriage is ending, I find it incredibly sad to witness the impact this is having on her best friend. This kind of treatment is unfair to someone who has always been a loyal friend. The emotional distress my friend is enduring is evident, as she grapples with the reality that my wife is treating her this way. As I reflect on this, another thought comes to mind. My soon-to-be ex-wife has been telling others that our separation was due to growing apart and her unhappiness for several years. This behavior is common among people who cheat. They often create excuses to explain their actions rather than being honest about the true reasons behind their decisions. Adding to the complexity of this situation is the fact that our mutual friend lived with us for about 6 months, from November 2021 to April 2022. She had just escaped a difficult relationship and was looking for a place to stay, so we offered her our spare room. During that time, my wife and our friend spent a significant amount of time together, discussing everything from our relationship to daily life matters. I communicate with her friend regularly, and she has always been kind and truthful with me. When I asked her about my wife's claims of unhappiness, she insisted that they were all lies. According to her, my wife never mentioned feeling unhappy in our marriage. This is significant because it indicates that, despite sharing everything with each other, my wife chose not to communicate any discontent regarding our relationship. This leaves me uncertain about the truth of my wife's claims. Is she lying to justify her cheating and the end of our marriage? Or did she keep her feelings hidden, only revealing them now? Throughout our marriage, I never sensed that she was unhappy. Our mutual friend agrees with this perspective, as she never once heard my wife express dissatisfaction. The outpouring of support I've received during this time has been incredible, and I truly appreciate it. It has helped me navigate these challenging circumstances. As I consider the potential consequences of my wife's actions, I hope that karma will catch up with her sooner rather than later. I have been honest with those who inquire about the reasons for our divorce. I explained that my wife cheated on me and left for another man. Just yesterday, a female friend showed me exchanges she had with my wife. The conversation included my wife claiming that we simply grew apart and decided to end our marriage. When I learned this, I made sure to clarify that this narrative is false. I told her the truth, and people who hear it are often shocked, as no one, including myself, would have anticipated that my wife would act in such a way. Moving forward, I plan to share an update in a few weeks. For now, I feel a sense of acceptance. Realizing that my wife has chosen to live her life without me prompted me to start doing the same. When I spoke to her on several occasions, she seemed to express that she still has feelings for me but believes our relationship has lost its excitement. This isn't entirely surprising, especially considering the loss I experienced when my mother passed away unexpectedly in February. My wife claims to be in love with another person but insists there are no strings attached. Throughout all this, I never recognized any signs of her unhappiness with me, and she has stated that her discontent was with life in general. Ultimately, it appears that she chose to stray from our marriage due to her feelings for someone else. I believe the situation unfolded in a way that suggests she cheated on me and developed feelings for someone else, specifically someone referred to as AP. After it became evident that she had chosen him over our relationship, I made the difficult decision to let her go and concentrate on my own well-being. At this point, I honestly feel indifferent about her current activities or whether she might come back into my life. I've reached a level of contentment where I am fine either way. My work life has been progressing well. I decided to join a gym where I have been consistently going 3 times a week. This commitment to exercise has led to muscle soreness, but it is a welcome pain that signifies my dedication. Additionally, I have reconnected with a wonderful girl from my childhood. Although our relationship is currently just a friendship, I am genuinely grateful to have someone female in my life to whom I can talk freely. She has her own challenges, having lost her father last year, which creates a bond between us as we can both relate to the experience of losing a parent. As for the divorce proceedings, we have been busy gathering a variety of necessary documents, which have already been sent to a mediator. We are now in a waiting phase to hear back from him so we can schedule our next meeting and move forward with the divorce process. I have firmly made the decision that the divorce will take place, regardless of whether my soon-to-be ex-wife chooses to come back into my life. I have recognized that the marriage is undeniably over. In an important update, we are set to sign our divorce papers in just 4 days. This marks an official end to this chapter of my life. It has been a while since my last update, about 4 months, so I have a lot to share. During this time, I made some mistakes but also took steps that helped me reclaim my self-respect and regain my power. Looking back, 5 months after the initial shock of the breakup, I find that I hardly think about the infidelity or feel affected by it anymore. For those who may be going through something similar, it is crucial to realize that healing is possible, and time truly works in your favor. After the cheating and subsequent breakup, I went through a phase where I made some poor decisions. I begged, pleaded, got angry, and felt an overwhelming sense of losing control as I watched the relationship slip away. This turmoil lasted for about 2 months until I decided that enough was enough. I told her that I had thought a lot about everything and was still open to seeing her and continuing to communicate, but I also made it clear that I couldn't promise anything. Over the past 3 months, I have not reached out to her for casual conversation or relationship matters. The only times I contacted her were to discuss the essential details regarding our impending divorce and some financial matters related to our shared house. During these last 3 months, I did not just sit around and wait. At 32 years old, I took a significant step for the first time in my life by starting to work out at the gym, focusing on building muscle. I have always been on the thinner side, but I've committed to going to the gym with discipline, training 4 times a week, and have done so consistently for 3 months. This commitment has led to visible increases in my muscle definition and overall appearance. Moreover, the positive changes extend beyond physical improvements. I have also experienced substantial mental benefits. Initially, my motivation to start working out was to keep myself busy and distracted, but now, 3 months in, not only do I look better, but I also feel much more confident about myself than before. In relation to our mutual house, I spoke with the bank and discovered that I could borrow additional money and increase my mortgage limit. I need to pay my ex-wife around $65,000 for the house, but I am confident in my ability to do so after signing the necessary documents. Once everything is settled and I pay her, I will be the sole owner of the house, which is valued at approximately $300,000. Although I have mixed feelings about having to pay her that amount, I recognize that in the long run, owning my house is advantageous, given that it is worth significantly more than what I owe her. Currently, my ex-wife does not own a house anymore and has returned to live with her mother, although I am aware she spends considerable time at AP's place. I do not maintain contact with her, yet I have some insight into her situation through a mutual friend. While we have not gathered as a complete group, we do communicate regularly, which keeps me informed. It is evident that my ex has moved on with AP, quickly entering a new relationship after leaving me. Recently, I found myself jumping right into a new relationship without thinking too much about what had happened with my ex. I often wonder what is going on in her life. At times, it really seems like she has lost her mind. I try to keep my thoughts away from her, but my mind tends to wander to places it shouldn't. Currently, I could refer to the person I'm seeing as my boyfriend, since that's essentially what he is now. However, I prefer to call him by the name I originally used, which is AP, as it feels more fitting given how our relationship started. Regarding AP and my ex-wife, karma has a way of catching up with people, and I see it starting to hit them hard. When my ex and AP first became a couple about 5 months ago, everything seemed fine between them. However, the situation has started to shift. AP is now at home, struggling with depression. I know this for a fact because some mutual friends shared screenshots of conversations between my ex and AP that revealed just how tough things have become. To add to their troubles, AP is currently unemployed. Reflecting on their relationship, I have always felt a sense of superiority compared to AP. His lack of morals has led me to believe he is not worth much, and now it feels like my feelings are validated. My ex's choice in him makes me wonder if she has truly lost her mind. I am not trying to be arrogant, but I genuinely believe I am a catch and a much better person than her current partner. In the beginning, when they first got together, I reached out to her multiple times to express my concerns. It seems I was right all along. Not only has AP proven himself to be the loser I suspected, but he has also brought negative influences into my ex-wife's life that could seriously harm her. It feels like she is digging her own grave by associating with him. I've heard through friends that AP has introduced her to hard drugs, and while I have not confronted my ex about it, if she wants to ruin her life, that is her choice. Sadly, it appears her situation is deteriorating fast. As for my ex, I have a strong feeling she is struggling, and she might be doubting her decisions. I hadn't spoken to her or seen her during the holiday season, which included Christmas and New Year's. However, about a week into January 2023, she unexpectedly texted me to ask if I was home and if she could come over. When she arrived at my house, the visit was brief, lasting only about 5 minutes. She mentioned that she spent Christmas Day alone, crying, and wanted to know how my holidays had been. I told her that my Christmas was okay but not the best since I lost my mom last year. This was the first holiday season without her, so it was understandably tough. I did tell her that I was doing well, which I genuinely am. This visit felt strange to me. I can't help but wonder why she cared about how I was doing. It makes me think that perhaps she has some regrets about her choices. Only time will reveal the truth. I also had a conversation with my ex's mom, my former mother-in-law, who called me after New Year's to wish me well. I didn't expect that call, but it was nice to hear from her since she was a part of my life for 8 years. During our chat, she informed me that my ex hasn't been doing well lately. Apparently, she has been very sad and crying often, expressing sentiments like wishing things didn't have to be this way. Once again, this indicates to me that she might be having second thoughts about her decisions. However, the power to reach out and change things lies solely with my ex. As of now, it doesn't seem like she has the desire to do so. The only power I possess is to grant her the divorce that she requested and to step away from her life, which is exactly what I've chosen to do. I am focused on bettering myself every single day. In just 4 days, we will be signing the divorce papers. Even though I am feeling great, I am still human, and there are moments when I mourn the marriage we once had and the person I thought she was. It pains me to see what has happened to her, but I recognize that her choices are out of my control and not my responsibility. I want to express my gratitude to everyone in this community. Your support has been invaluable during this time, and I truly appreciate it.